got to play Path of Civilization, a story of humankind. Now, this game is, I don't want to call it a deck builder, but a little bit of a deck builder.
Well, I mean, you're building an engine, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you're picking cards, too.
So, but it's not really drafting either, because we're not like sharing it with each other.
So
it's just, I mean, card selection.
Maybe. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana.
So are we. We're amazing.
Well,
we are.
Some of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Me.
I'm less amazing than they are. That's all right.
Well, no. I mean, just the beard. The rest of you is fine.
All right.
Can you tell us more about it?
Absolutely. So this is a 2023 release. Overall rank is 3,346 with an individual rating of 7.4. Plays 1 to 5 people, ages 14 and up, and plays in about 120 minutes, which I think is pretty accurate. Designed by Fabian Greidel. Now, here's a stickler for some people. The art was not designed by anyone in particular. It's all AI generated. And it is published by Captain Games. And so MSRP is $89.99, which is a little steep. Card House has it for $73.99, but the cheapest is Miniature Market at $71.99.
No, actually, the cheapest was Tabletop Merchant. It was $70.99.
I didn't even see them listed on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Gamers Guild had it. They had it next up at $76.49, but nobody on Geek Market was actually selling it. So unless you lived in Europe. So
yeah.
Oh. All right, so let's talk about quality of components. So, the price is a little steep, but I do want to point out there's a lot of good things going on. You have inlaid player boards to keep track of your resources. You also had inlaid boards for your...
to hold the cubes.
To hold cubes for different resources. You do also get these really awesome storage devices for the cards.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best part.
Yeah, I do like those
They're stackable. They go into the box, and then there's a lid for the top one, so they basically keeps them all in place.
Yeah. We also do have the standy wooden stands for the different cards.
Those I'm not real thrilled with, because they're too wide for. You're only going to use one card each era. So if you put one card in, it tips over and almost falls out, and sometimes does fall out. So I took several cards, put behind it just to hold them in place. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of them. One of them was also nicked as far as the wood on it. That's just I'm sure a defect on that one copy. But I don't think it's designed well for holding a single card. Now when you sleeve it, maybe it'll be a little better. But yeah, I don't think it's designed well for holding the card per round.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, we have cardboard chits for victory points. Our cards are they linen finish? I didn't really notice. I didn't think they were.
They're all sick.
Mind, you're not really holding them or like.
Yeah, you're acquiring them, and then basically you're picking a card. You don't shuffle them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if texture is really necessary. I guess, but this is mostly a card
when you're
game.
paying $90 for this, I don't think there's enough content to make it justify $90 in this game right now.
Especially with AI generated art.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really consider that for the quality, but yeah, as far as the the components that are in the box, there's a lot of cards, but there's not that many cards.
Yeah.
For $90, and the boards, there's only one that's inlaid, the other one's not. The main board is not. And the inlay it's not the best one I've seen, but it doesn't warp, so that's good news.
That's good.
So, I mean, I think for me, if you take the $90 out of it, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But when you add that $90 price point, you're just like a little, that's a little sad. So.
And I think just like that in my head, it's,
Yeah, those sounds.
Yeah, just like that.
I'm sorry. Be glad, because I just got back from South Carolina for a couple days. My accent is...
There went.
There
you did it.
It's...
He just did it.
I know. Okay, it was so funny. We were down and we went to Bojangles, because that's down there.
Bojangles? Yeah.
And the person, a very lovely person, their accent was super thick, and me and my sister were matching. It was a hoot, because we just kept going down the spiral. So, be happy I'm not speaking. There I am again. All right. Let's score it, guys. Quality of components, Randy.
I will probably give it a 7. I would probably give it a 7.5 if it weren't for the fact that first of all, it's got stickers, which I don't like.
Right.
I had to buy all the stickers, so it was an art project when I got it out. I just don't think for the price it's worth the component quality, and it is not up to snuff. So I would say 7 is probably where I'm at.
Okay, what about you, Rob?
I'm on the same level. I would, even though I didn't do the art project, I do appreciate the trays, but $90 is a lot of money for something where basically the best part are the card trays, and that's it. So I'm a 7.
I felt like it was fine until y'all started dissing it. So I'm actually going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go 7.5 just because, the money makes me sad. But I think everything was functional and it worked.
Oh, for sure. And that's why
that's
why I'm good with the 7. I mean, if it was less functional, I'd go.
Yeah, and there was nothing that I hated.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm like, I'll give it 7.5.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to the actual theme, I think this is where we really need to talk about AI-generated art.
Yeah.
Because although they did the AI-generated art very well, that it was very cohesive, it doesn't look like it was from a bunch of different hodgepodge, because we've seen a couple of those that AI-generated, and they didn't match at all, so it was kind of obvious. This one, they did a really good job of matching it, so that was well done. However,
Who did the art?
Yeah.
We're paying $90.
We have no idea who did the art, and I just don't like the idea that someone worked really hard at creating something and there's no acknowledgement in this game for that work. And plus, however many people, it could have been hundreds of people, or they just bits and pieces of different people's artwork. So it could have been hundreds of people involved, and we'll never know.
Yeah, that said, there's a lot of review bombing going on Board Game Geek because of it, which I don't agree with that either. There's a lot of people giving it 1s specifically because of the AI generation. And it's like, to me, until you play the game, you can't evaluate whether the rating
I agree with that too.
So, I think this is where we would count for this, and that's where I'm going to account for it, but I'm not going to take off from the gameplay because of something like, the art being AI generated. There's just, first of all, it seems to be becoming more and more common in the industry. Not a big fan of that. I've got a lot of friends who are artists. I don't like the fact that it's taking away opportunities for them. And the fact is that there's we like to give people credit for the art, and we can't do that because there's nobody getting credit.
I mean, and I think the other thing is you would expect, if you're going to use AI generated art, there should be a cost reduction to the consumer. Mm-hmm. We didn't see that at all. And so that's my thing is as a business person, okay, you got to shave up cost or whatever.
Right.
But what we get and what price are we paying, like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's not, you're right, at the end of the day, it's a loss to the art, and I just, because eventually there's not going to be art to be had because there's not going to be any artists.
Right.
So, not a fan.
All right, so moving off of our soapbox on AI generation, let's talk about other aspects of theme. So first of all, it's a historic theme. You're building a civilization. Mm-hmm. It's very generic as far as civilizations. They've got ancient groups on here like the Egyptians and the Romans.
You can kind of recognize that kind of stuff, but there's like no names associated with it.
Well, there's Gil Bates.
That's true. Gil Bates is in the game.
I mean, you had a lot of the leaders that Joan of Arc and things like that came up. So those were kind of related. But it is consistent. But it's not like
I think
I like the mechanics.
Yeah.
So I think mechanically it kind of fits a civilization type building game. Mm-hmm. So as far as mechanics fit in theme, which I do like to fit in the theme part, I think it fits pretty good.
Yeah. I think the iconography is pretty well done.
I think so too.
Yeah. I think there is a little bit of confusion between some of the icons being represented on cards and which things get to score. You almost have to look at the card by breakdown in the rule book, or that's the compendium book. Actually,
but eventually that will help you trigger your memory. Like the icon will help.
The icons. I mean, you can pretty much flow with it, but you have to check it because otherwise, some of them will have that icon and it really just means specific cards, and others ones don't count. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of crossover contamination from different uses of the same icons. But there is a lot of iconography in this.
There is.
the simplicity. I do like the simplicity of the art on the boards. This is nice iconography. Makes it very clear what this purpose is compared to the other ones. Once you know the icons, I think they've done a pretty good job of making the iconography easy enough.
Yeah, the design of the game, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that there are so many different areas in which you can focus on your civilization, like worship, like architecture, like obviously army. So there's different things.
You got military, you got industry.
But it felt very.
It kind of felt 4X-y in that regard.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that crunchy thing, and I think that made sense for the civilization aspect of the game. So overall, though, scores. What are we talking?
I think I'm a 7.5 for thing. Well, from the mechanics, but because the AI art really dings it big time for me, so I have to go. This might seem harsh, but I'm a 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
you're very passionate about
harsh.
that.
I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah. All right. I'm definitely not going to take it up that much. I would probably be a 7.5 normally. I will probably go to 7 because of the AI art, but I'm not going to take it down that far.
I mean, one of the reasons why I am that harsh is because there's other games where we ranked it at 10 because of the art.
Yeah.
Because the art was so good and it was so important to the game. And so for me to go that high on some games, I have to, in retrospect, do that.
No, I mean, I think that makes sense. And I think because we clarified, again, I think I'm with all of you. Normally I would have given this a 7.5. But the AI kind of bugs me. It's a moral dilemma that at the end of the day, I don't think it's not honorable. It's not an honorable thing to do. It's one thing if you're doing it for a mock of a game, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's for a mock a game and you're trying to get just an idea of what you're kind of wanting and things like that. But to actually publish it and people purchase it and not give credit to where credit is due, that's really, really rough. So for me, I'm going to take it down to a 5. I think it's bare minimum. It's getting, for me, it's a little shady. And so I'm putting it at a 5.
Okay.
So, moving on to Rulebook.
Yep.
So the rulebook, there's one main one which is 20 pages long, and it's got a partial cover, I guess, 1/3 of a cover. It goes into kind of just a kind of a descriptive of what you're doing in the course of the game at a high level, and then goes into the contents. Contents are well done. They've got the number of the components. They got them numbered over your pictures, which is, I like to see that. The book has summaries for each action. I like that. We don't see that a lot.
Right.
We'll go through the detail, and then at the bottom in a gray blurb, it's almost like a Puerto Rico-esque style, or a Leah series where they pull it up, and this is on at the bottom. They just have a gray blurb. So if you are trying to remember what you do, it's got it all quickly summarized there. You can just kind of refer to it. There are some translation issues.
Yes.
Matter of fact, lack of translation. They just literally left
in French or whatever
language and the headers and didn't change it in a few places, or intermingled French words or whatever. Instead of "and," it was "et" or something in different places. So there's some of that, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, I think a few places. The bigger issues were just, like I said, some of the card iconography.
Yeah, we had some questions like with in-game scoring.
In-game scoring. One of the things in particular that was confusing, and because it says that there's a population track, and you get the icons as you move up. At the beginning, it's very clear you get some of the purple tokens, but towards the end, there's victory points on those spaces, and it says, at the end, whatever your position on the population chart is going to determine whether you get some in-game victory points. But it doesn't clarify because it seems like really low.
Very low.
Top. Usually it's like you'll either increment up significantly or it's cumulative. In this case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, depending on how far you move up that track. And it's like, okay, if it's literally taken what it says, then if I max it out, the most I'm going to get is 5 victory points. And
I wasn't even sure about that because when you said it, you said you get it as you land on the space.
Yeah.
But then it also, and your meeple can be worth victory points at the end of the game. And for me, I'm wondering if it's both. But I don't know. Because if you're supposed to get it when you land on it, and it could be worth where it's at, that could explain, because most of the other in-game stuff is up to like 20 or 25 or 24 for military, 21 for this one. So that would actually make it 20 if you got every single thing along the way and
Right.
the 5 points at the end.
But there was no place to clarify.
Yeah,
I mean,
But there
we
was
checked.
no place, so we just based it off
and we
of...
did, and we looked online too. We didn't see anything on
No.
Board Game Geek either.
Yeah.
So, and it may be one of those things that people just assumed, okay, where you are, or whatever, or you get it when you land
Yeah.
on it. But it,
And then the fact that it takes a lot of work to get that up there.
it did.
It's
I
just,
only got to
it
3
does
and I
not
tried.
pay out well.
No.
No, I mean you do get to use more resources, and hopefully people maintain that functionality of it. But that would be an easy one to not remember to do.
Yeah, the other side of things, you've got a compendium book, which is the glossary. This has all the information for all of the cards in the game.
It did come in a lot of
It
use.
was
That was
very
very
helpful.
helpful.
It's set up very well as far as each type, the wonders, the
all the color cards are
leaders.
together.
They got the colors of each category in there, and you can find them easily. Now, the one thing that I thought was dumb about it is the cards all have numbers and reference the letter number system on the card. They don't put that on the here.
I didn't know that.
And then they no system. It's like you've got such a nicely broken out thing. Why would you number the card and then not
include
reference
that.
it in there? Now they have the picture of the card, so you can see the numbers on the cards in the picture. But why would you number
Not
them
put it
and
in the
not
text.
reference them anywhere? But apart from that, I mean, they did break it out very nicely, and they do have
And it
pretty
did help
clear
clarify,
clarifications
it helped
on each one
clarify
of
quite a
these.
bit.
So I think this book is probably my favorite part of the rule book. Now this is a table hog already, and this book takes up a good chunk of the table just to keep looking back to it. So, and it's not page numbered, but it doesn't really need to be because it's color coded, so it's very easy.
But they're big. It's a big rule book.
And it's got the iconography at the front too. So I think this book, because of this book, I'm going to probably give the rule book an 8.5.
If it was just the other one.
It was just the other one with the translation issues and the lack of some of the clarifications in it. I probably would have given it maybe a 6.5, 7. This book, though,
Really
I think makes up a lot.
Yeah.
And you don't have a cheat sheet in the game, but you do
Other
have it
than
on
the turn
there
sequence.
or at the bottom of your board.
Yeah.
It actually flows through the turn sequence as well, and that's actually done really well.
Yeah, I don't really think you need it.
Yeah, you don't in this game. It's pretty straightforward.
I just let Randy do whatever.
Yeah.
I just placed my 4 cards down, and then I was like, okay.
And then win.
Yeah, and one-handedly, and then she was like, "Well, I don't know how I did that." It's like,
I really don't.
You scored the most
listen,
points.
I really don't know how I did it. I was just playing cards. Like, I didn't feel like I was doing it. So let's move on to gameplay. So this is where we get kind of into the gameplay thing. So
That would
you
be a
start,
good place for gameplay.
Yeah. So what you do is you start out with 5 cards, knowing that one of these are going to be destroyed. Okay. So for the beginning round, there on your cards, there's an A side and a D, or a B side and a D side. Okay. So you can play 4 cards. 2 of them will be for the B, and 2 of them will be for the D. Well, at the starting of the game, there's nothing on the B side, so basically useless, but you're saving them for later, so take that for what you will. So I'm going to put this one, which is a military, and then I'm going to do science, because that seems like a good idea. And then I'll do some religion over here, but I'm going to get rid of my technology.
And those letters correspond to the phases of the round. So there's the A phase is kind of the setting up for the round phase, and then the B phase is where you trigger the left icon.
So we'll do that. So this is the A phase, and so the one I've decided I'm going to discard, I'm going to flip it over on the back side, and it tells you how many victory points it's worth. 0 is the answer. So then this is what you have. So then we're going to go over to the B side. The B side, because there's nothing in the B order right now, because these cards suck, you really want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. That's no go. Alright, so once the B ends, then you're going to move on to C. So C is where you have gained over the course of the last round. In this case, we haven't gone very far, so we don't really have anything. But we would have cubes on philosophy, architecture, and peoples. Leaders. Purples. It's beautiful.
They are peoples.
Monarchs.
So.
But
they are peoples.
But they are peoples. Alright, so if I had any blue cubes at this point, I would move forward up in the spirituality track. When you move up, if you're the first one, then you get to pick what the bonus will be for that round, multiply it by the multiplier, whatever is there. Then Then you're going to buy some architecture, some monuments that you have created. If you have enough cubes, they all have different price ranges.
Wonders.
Yeah, and they add over time. So first you start out with just 2s, then you add 4s, and then you add 7s,
Yeah.
and then you add
No,
So
sevens is it.
sevens is it.
Seven's a max.
All right.
But each round, there's cards that are distributed based on player count, and you're going to add them into the pool. So you could, it's going to take you a few rounds to build up, where
Right.
you can acquire them.
And you can
it's-
only buy one of each.
Yeah, you can buy one of each type each
Yeah,
round.
one architect, one,
Right.
and then
The leaders.
leaders. Then you're going to over here and spend those cubes that you have over there. Then you're going to trigger D. So you're going to go over to your D side and look, oh, look, I get a red and an orange. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to move up the tracks. Okay. And then I'm going to go buy a card. Okay. So I only have one orange or one red. I'm going to go military because that's actually my priority this go around.
And you do have to buy a card.
Yes.
You do. So I'm going to spin my red here. I'm going to get this. I'm going to put it down here, okay, just for right now. But I do get a bonus. So I get to go up on the power track by one because, and you guys can't see this, so I'm going to turn this around for you guys. Oh, you can see it on the other side.
Yep.
Check that out. But you're going to look over here and see what it says, and you're going to get that if that's the card you picked up. But if you get it later on, there's a lot more cool stuff. So you may just want to be aware of that. So you really do want to buy more advanced cards as quickly as possible because the bonus for them are really, really nice.
And they're worth more victory points.
Correct. Okay, so now that I've gotten that, that is the end of the round. I'm going to pick all 5 of the cards up, and then I'm going to do it all over again.
And it's simultaneous
That's
play.
not the end of the round, though.
No, and this is all simultaneous, which
Yeah,
is something we all like
that
quite a
is-
bit about.
Yeah, that's nice. But each round, so the first round, the first 2 rounds, there's no end of round events. But after that, you start alternating between a yellow event and a red event. The red events are military. The yellow events are kind of scoring for everybody. So they're kind of positive ones, which is nice. I like that. There's the military, you don't attack each other either. It's not a
I appreciate
combat.
that.
It's
Yeah.
just a number you're trying to
Yeah,
reach.
so-
and whoever gets first place gets more victory points.
Right. So there's combat in the sense that you're fighting an AI, if you will, player that's moving up the track. He can actually win if you don't defeat him. He gets first place, and then you get second, third. So, it's almost like a chariot race or something like that, where
or maybe
you
like
could be-
arena
Yeah.
gladiator combat. type
Yeah,
thing.
so I like that aspect of the game is that it's not attacky, but yet you do have some interaction with the other players from that. So you're going to, potentially get points for the red, but the yellow ones, everybody gets points for, and it sometimes will give you an ongoing effect that helps you throughout the game. So like the first one we got reduced the cost of any of the red leaders that came up by 1, when you're buying them, which is helpful if you have enough to get the reds. And we unfortunately didn't have any red leaders out for quite a while.
Yeah, I was the only one that had one for a while.
Yeah, at the end I got one, but it took a while. So yeah, I think that they've done a nice job with balancing it. You play 9 rounds, so you're going to have red, yellow for the whole game until the very last round. You have both. You have yellow and red.
Yeah. Overall, though, I think this game was a pretty nice civilization building. I think it had a lot of fun aspects to it.
It was a lot easier than I expected.
Yeah, I was
It
just about
was.
to say that. For a civilization game, it's not very complicated, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah.
Because this almost might be a good introductory game to civilization building games.
Yes.
You're right.
Because there's definitely some that are way more complicated. So,
Yeah, but it's not so.
Civilization.
But it's not so. It's not so
right.
low that it's not
Yeah,
interesting
no,
for
there's
those.
definitely still some meat, but just
Yeah.
not a whole lot of it.
Which
Yeah.
is good for those that are trying to, look at this, civilization building. This is, So for that aspect, I think it's great. I think it went by fairly quickly, but in a good way.
Well, I mean, the
And
fact
so-
that you don't have any downtime where you're waiting for other players, really. 'Cause,
hallelujah.
that's something you appreciate. And then, there's a lot of variability because there's
Yes.
a lot of cards.
Well,
for
the event
each.
cards, yeah. I mean,
Because-
we only saw one out of, looks like a stack of 5
Yeah,
or
but
something.
even then, the leaders and
The leaders and the-
also
and the
there's
wonders,
only
yeah.
so many that come out for each game, so you're not going to have repeats of the same game.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. So overall, giving it a score for gameplay, I'm going to give it 7.5. I liked it. It was good.
I agree. I think 7.5 is a good score.
Yeah, that's probably where I am as well. I think it's if I think that as we play it more, we may raise it to an 8. I don't think it's going above that, but I think it's got a lot of meat to it. This is a kind of game that it's easy to pick up and learn. It was easier than I expected it to be to pick up and learn. I wish there were a little bit clearer rules on some of the in-game scoring and some of the different iconography, but in general, I think it's really a well-designed game. And
I'm glad you got it so that I can play it, but almost on an ethical level, I'm not going to purchase a copy myself. I can't spend that kind of money knowing that it is the AI art, so I just can't do it. So I appreciate that I did get to play it. I liked it. I just can't purchase it myself.
Yeah. So I feel sad that the industry is going that direction.
Yeah,
because this is not the only one.
The industry is going to have to figure out a way to where it can either compensate for that art or figure out a way to justify using that art and still be able to accredit those that the art comes from. They got to figure out something if they're going to go that route.
Yeah. So, and I think overall, as a society, we're seeing a lot more AI generated content, not just in the art realm.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in the HR world, and ChatGPT is huge in HR now. And so just figuring out, just like different policies that can be written by AI, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to navigate that as a society, trying to figure out how to balance making sure that the right people get credit, because that's morally the right thing, but at the same time, it can help streamline some stuff and really lower the amount of workload to make that happen. I mean, you still always have to proofread. You still have to make sure, because like we mentioned before, some people that use the AI art, it is so hodgepodgey, you can tell a million miles away that it was awful. But this one they did streamline. So I wonder,
And I wonder why they didn't credit that. So obviously someone did a good job of design, because they put this stuff together. Things are cut well, it's placed together well. So there's definitely some work that went into the game design side of it. And it's just too bad they didn't get
even
credit
in picking
for that.
picking the image to make sure it was consistent throughout the theme and things like that. So there is still some artistry here that they didn't represent, which I think, maybe will help a little bit of that conversation of not having but still the art essentially is stolen from someone, and I don't like that either. So how do you navigate through that, right? And it makes you, and as a civilization, as a society, we're going to have to figure this out, and hopefully we can move forward and try to figure out the right way while reducing cost, while reducing thing. And I think I wouldn't be upset with this if I was not paying a premium for this game, because it does feel like a premium of $90
for sure.
And then to get the quality of component and to get AI generated art, it just feels very cheap to me. Like it feels like I was, so for me, that's my stick. I think I still had fun playing it though.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely play it again. I liked it.
And I'm sad there's a moral question mark around it, and I hope as a society we can figure it out.
And I hope that everybody does give the game a chance. I mean,
it's a good game.
Even though I don't agree with the whole AI art part, it's still a good game. And so people should play this and still maybe help, within the industry, figure out a way around this conundrum. But it doesn't, like Randy said, it doesn't take away from the gameplay part of it. It's still a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.